Welcome back to Raised by Giants Illuminated Insights discussion. We are live. Welcome everyone in the chat. Good to see you guys and any moderators out there. We have a very amazing discussion for you guys here today with MK Ultra Monarch survivor whose congressional testimony was censored under national security in 1995. Her book Trance, Formation of America was published in 95 with intelligence insider Mark Phillips, who outlines exactly what took place. Cathy O'Brien, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me on. This will be an interesting discussion today. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm always excited to have you back, Cathy. Always lovely chatting with you because we always get down to the nitty gritty with what's going on. And what's going on at the moment is a lot of talk of extraterrestrials and UFOs, right? Now, I've been trying to tell people for a long time that it's not extraterrestrials, it's humans, that it's human beings that are misinforming people that it's extraterrestrials to cover up their own dirty deeds. And the best way to do that is to blame it on something that can't even be proven to exist. It's the perfect scapegoats, right? If the aliens are to blame for everything and they have such advanced technology, then that means that there's nothing that we can do about that, right? But there's something that we can do about humans. But all the while, it's just us doing it to ourselves.
Exactly. We got to face the truth and realize that we've been misinformed and fooled for a long, long time. And any time that fear is being deliberately generated by the media, we need to take a second look and rethink what we're being told.
And it really seems like everything is just fear right now. It's all about fear. And even within the community, there's always something around the corner, right? Which is installing a bunch of paranoia and mental health issues, I believe, which I've seen happen in the community all the time. Every time I get on social media, Cathy, it's always something new. There's always something that you got to be on the lookout for. There's always some boogeyman right behind the corner. And I think that their new thing is extraterrestrials, though it hasn't been new. It's been talked about for a really long time now, but they're really starting to uptick it within mainstream media.
Yeah, fear is the basis of mind control, whether it's of an individual like I experienced, or if it's of a nation, or if it's of the world. And mind control is being used to usher in a globalist agenda that we're all experiencing today, where we're losing more of our freedoms. It's a slave society agenda where a handful of big guys make all the money and we do all the work. But they need our cooperation. They need us to comply with their agenda. They know that people wouldn't comply with it. We've got so many horrific things that are happening in our society, especially where our children are being targeted and sexualized and everything else. And to get people to still comply with their agenda, they use mind control, because they know if without free thought, there's no free will. And with no free will, there's no soul expression, no ability to gather that moral compass within us and that strength of spirit and the ability to discern truth. You know, that's an important factor. It's all on that deeper level. But if they keep our conscious mind like frozen in fear, then they can manipulate the subconscious into compliance with their agenda. And that's exactly what they're doing. It's exactly what the plan has been. And that's why we're being bombarded with fear after trauma, you know, just to keep us in that state of panic, where we're frozen in fear, looking outside ourselves for someone to fix a problem for us. Look for big government to fix it. Big government's not going to fix it. They're doing it to us. We can't, if we look outside ourselves to big pharma and big tech and big occult religion, anything that takes us outside ourselves to tell us how to live our lives is the wrong direction. We need to look within. And when we look within, we get that truth that makes us free. It gives us the ability to discern truth around us, the ability to overcome fear, because truth overcomes fear. Truth is so simple. These fearful lies are complicated, they're nonsense. And once we look within, we find an ability to figure that out and stop caving in to this deliberately imposed fear agenda.
Absolutely. But what I find interesting, Cathy, is that there's a video that's floating around the internet on TikTok and other social media platforms with you in it, but they're getting what you're saying wrong, right? They're attributing what you're talking about extraterrestrials with saying that it's Project Bluebeam, right? Which Project Bluebeam has never been proven to even exist. It's another mis and disinformation getting people off track. Here, I actually have the video that we're going to listen to here. Hold on, let me get this banner up really quick. Get my fair use banner up. Okay, here it is.
1992, Cathy O'Brien stood up in front of the world and predicted almost exactly what we are dealing with right now in regards to UFOs. But she was telling us to beware because there's a chance that they aren't actually aliens and it's all the result of Project Bluebeam. This was
See, this is what they do. They misconstrue people's words and what they're talking about, and then they attribute it to something completely different, like Project Bluebeam here.
absolutely mind-blowing. Just check this shit out.
Showed me his office at General Dynamics, a then top secret stealth. Here was this triangular stealth that wasn't in any of the school books, wasn't being talked about anywhere. It looked like a spaceship to me. I'd never seen anything like that. And everything that J. Bennett Johnson was doing and he was involved in certainly was alien to me. So it was easy for me to accept the idea that what was happening was in fact being perpetrated by aliens. But what I am saying is that it was my experience that these were people claiming to be aliens. If there's a reality out there pertaining to any alien influence, we need to sort out the government misinformation and disinformation and mind manipulation techniques that they're using. I know for a fact that the plan is to make all of us feel totally helpless, that what's happening is beyond our realm to affect because we've been taken over by aliens, that our Independence Day is dawning.
What do you think about that, Cathy? How do you feel about watching that from back in 1992?
Oh yeah, I mean I've been speaking out for 35 years. My testimony is the same. Truth is like that, it's just rock solid, and then it gets twisted and distorted by other people's perceptions when they want to add to it, and especially like the free ebooks of my testimony that are posted all over the internet and altered to fit their perceptions or their political agenda or whatever. But most of all, to keep us in a state of victim mentality, because as long as we feel victimized, we feel like we don't have the power to do something about these perpetrators, this handful that's creating all these illusions of power over us, whether they're playing the demon card or the alien card. They're just trying to make us feel helpless. And the point is absolutely the same, they're wanting us to feel like it's beyond our realm to affect. Well, it is within our realm to affect, and it's up to us to take a stand against it right now. Research for ourselves, look further than what we're being told, especially through the controlled media or any kind of repetitive narrative that generates fear. Because again, fear and trauma are the basis of mind control, and it's imperative that we think free.
Now, I've been told by a gentleman that his dad was the right-hand man to Sidney Gottlieb, which was head of the MK Ultra programs. And he told me that what people are calling Project Bluebeam now was actually a MK Ultra sub-project called Project Blue Bolt, and that it wasn't a holographic image that's being projected outside of yourself, like people talk about with Project Bluebeam. But Project Blue Bolt was a program to put the holographic images directly inside of your head to make you believe that you were seeing aliens or UFOs or that you were being abducted by aliens. Are you familiar with this at all, Cathy?
Yeah, that is very, very viable. And the manipulation of people's minds is easier with the strategic formula for MK Ultra mind control, especially if drugs are used in the process and everything else. Well, Mark had taught me to deprogram the program first in my healing process. And it was really important to be able to do that, because that way I was able to untangle the programming from the actual experience right from the get-go. And it makes it clear to see exactly how the manipulation was being set up and contrived and everything else. So it's so important that people, really look at that aspect of things first. So many after the fact who said that, they were abducted by aliens, they stepped back from it a little bit, deprogrammed that program by writing it out, and all of a sudden remembered, oh yeah, they did come up in a military Jeep and they were wearing military clothes, and then all of a sudden they look at it a little bit differently than what was projected into their mind and manipulated into their mind through deliberate MK Ultra means. I think ultimately, from my experience around these perpetrators and my experience in the alien theme, MK Ultra mind control programming, that it's such a shallow diversion from the reality of all the amazing things in life that we have to explore. There's so much possibility out there, and so many miracles and possibilities and dimensional aspects, and just so much more than this narrow, fear-mongering alien perspective they're wanting to project on us. I like to think if there's intelligent life out there, that there is intelligent life out there. And if they're intelligent, they would know that people are innately so much stronger than any fear-based mind control program once they remember who they are and the strength that we have within ourselves to be able to discern and sort through this barrage of nonsense that we're being bombarded with.
And if there are extraterrestrials out there, it would be impossible for anyone to actually even know because of all the mis and disinformation that has come directly from the government, right? The whole alien extraterrestrial narrative really comes from mis and disinformation directly from the government in 1979 with Paul Benowitz, right? That was recording and taking pictures of real military classified projects. And then Richard Doty from the Air Force, which is a known mis and disinformationalist, came in and made him believe that what he was getting was extraterrestrials. And the NSA then went as far as to break into Paul Benowitz's house and replace his computer to make him believe that he was receiving messages from extraterrestrials, that their planet was dying and that they were here for Earth's resources and to take over the planet. It's unbelievable. And it's not only the case of Paul Benowitz either, but it's also the case of William Moore, better known as Bill Moore, who wrote the book on Roswell in 1980 that was littered and filled with mis and disinformation from Richard Doty. And Bill Moore went to a conference in 1989, a MUFON UFO conference, and told the audience what he had done and that it was all a lie. And guess what they did? They yelled at him and they heckled him off stage. Right? That's my point where we're at right now, Cathy. And I'm doing my best to tell people this information, and I'm just getting attacked and slandered, right? For presenting the facts and the evidence of the blatant mis and disinformation that's been propagated in this community. But it's like fighting an uphill battle because people want to believe, Cathy.
Yeah.
They want to believe in extraterrestrials and that it's not all just a lie. And this community is just as infiltrated and full of mis and disinformation as the mainstream media is. And it's sad.
Well, it's really difficult for people to understand that the government has been so far advanced technologically and information wise and everything else. When Mark and I first started speaking out in 1990, we figured we were about 50 years ahead, you know, with what we knew because of what the government was keeping secret from the people. And so as we're speaking about it, trying to bring the information to light, it looked alien to our complacent nation because they didn't have any idea that these kind of things actually, the technology already exists. So, yeah, it's been a challenge.
And they did the exact same thing with the MK Ultra programs, right? They effectively covered that up by lumping it into the same category with secret space program and super soldier nonsense, right? Along with the Stargate program as well. They lumped in having remote viewing abilities and psychic abilities to having been in space for 20 years and fighting aliens and being age regressed back to the very point that they were taken, right? It's very easy to discredit real operations by lumping them in with a bunch of nonsense, right? You just get one person up there talking about fighting aliens in space on Mars and the moon, and then you have them say that they were abducted by the CIA or that the military came in and put them through an MK Ultra program, and it makes the whole idea of MK Ultra and the real uses behind it look super wacky.
Our brains have so much more capability than people are aware of. We have such resilient bodies, minds, and spirits. Our brains are phenomenal. We have mind-brain function that we have yet to really discover. When our military special forces can be programmed to take a bullet and keep on going, you know, with no time to bleed and actually regulate the blood flow through a mind control program, that means our brains are capable of this potential. And if we can do that from within ourselves, realize that, then when we're in control of it by our own strength of spirit, we are suddenly capable of so many seemingly miraculous healing possibilities. And that's just one example. We also have ability for telepathic communication and understanding. It's innate to the human brain. And we have an ability for intuitions that are kind of more primitive to us. And so as we, you know, explore those aspects of the human brain, it's easy for someone to say, oh, well, it's because they're taken off planet and they're aliens. No, we all have that capacity, you know, so we need to get this misinformation, this misdirection out of the way so that we can move forward into the reality of the magnitude of the genuine possibilities that we all have. It doesn't have to be diluted with an alien took me to another planet, you know, routine.
Yeah, I got Cody in the chat here, and he's saying that remote viewing is absolutely real, and it is absolutely real. But I'm saying that they're trying to make it seem like it's not real by throwing in a bunch of nonsense into it, right? Just like the real DIA. I've had several of these people from Army Intelligence and DIA. You were on a roundtable with one of them, Dr. David Morehouse, back 2 or 3 months ago. We had Walter Bosley, you, and Dr. David Morehouse, and Dr. David Morehouse was a part of the Stargate DIA program, the government run remote viewing program. So, but the Stargate program, where the government was using real remote viewers as intelligence assets, right? You all that has to happen is you get a wacky person up there and tell people that they were opening up real stargates for time travel and portals and all that stuff. It's so ridiculous. And I feel really bad for those people. I really do, that they get caught up in the nonsense and the disinformation and the misinformation. Right. That's all that I'm mentioning, Cody. I 100% believe that psychic abilities are real. It's been proven. It's been scientifically proven that remote viewing is real. I'm just saying that there's a program to make it seem like it's not real and make it seem like it's wacky by incorporating all of this other garbage into it and making people believe that it's not a real thing. I mean, Cathy has been on my show several times, and we've talked about how trauma actually creates some sort of psychic abilities. Could you reiterate that a little bit for the audience? Because I believe that I mentioned that with you on the roundtable discussion with Dr. David Morehouse and Walter Bosley, and how the possibilities of trauma can actually unlock some sort of intuitive or some sort of psychic ability.
Yeah, truth does get diluted, and the truth itself is really amazing. And my experience in MK Ultra mind control is I lost free thought. The traumas that I was exposed to were so extreme that it was like I was blasted into primitive parts of my brain where I had heightened senses, heightened intuitions, and abilities that really we all have within us. And my experience just, really kind of reopened those doors. And when you consider MK Ultra mind control and how it's used to create a heightened suggestibility, then it's easy to see too how any MK Ultra survivor who hasn't healed, that is still is susceptible to being triggered or susceptible to being misled and is still highly suggestible in some areas. They can take the genuineness of the capacity for remote viewing or for the heightened intuition or psychic abilities or telepathy or anything like that, completely dilute it with misinformation through that person who's experiencing it, because they're still being used. And they use these people very deliberately to dilute the information to keep us from knowing the amazing capabilities that we have within ourselves. Anything that they can do to keep us from looking within and realizing our full potential and looking outside ourselves to their authority and their definitions of what's going on, that's given our power away to them exactly as they're intending them to be used. And that way too, they can use it for some classified operations, and they can use it in certain intelligence operations while keeping people from realizing what's going on. Well, that it's so ridiculous that they do that, and yet people easily buy into it because they have become unaware of their own potential and what we are capable of as human beings. It's phenomenal.
It really is. It's a heavy-handed agenda. There's so many levels to it and so many layers. Yeah. And I think that the extraterrestrials are egregores, right? I think that they are powered by our thoughts and our ideas and our beliefs in them. Right? If you've seen the movie Freddy versus Jason, it's one of my guilty pleasure movies. I love it. But in the beginning of the movie, Freddy has to get Jason to kill people on Elm Street because Freddy has no power, because the people had forgotten, right? Freddy feeds upon the energy and the thoughts and beliefs of people. So in order to make people believe again, he had Jason go to Elm Street and stir up trouble. And immediately people thought that it was Freddy, but it wasn't Freddy. It was Jason the entire time. But you see, the people thinking that it was Freddy, it gave Freddy his powers back because people believed it was him. So it's the same analogy that I'm trying to get across here too. It's not Freddy, it's Jason. It's not extraterrestrials, it's humans. And our belief in them is what I personally believe is allowing them to exist.
That's a phenomenal concept, and I think that ultimately these puppet masters only have as much power as we give them or let them steal, and they're stealing plenty of it by manipulating our perceptions and ideas and manipulating our minds to the extent that they are. The MK Ultra program that I was exposed to was the reptilian alien themed program. That was very deliberate. MK Ultra mind control program rooted in the most primitive fear in the human mind, because we were fearful of reptiles from the very beginning. Even the Bible, the demonic aspect, it uses the reptile just because it is our basic most fear. It's what we needed to survive against the snakes and the reptiles. So we had this innate fear on the deepest of levels that they're wanting to tap into in order to make us feel helpless and therefore more easily led. Because as soon as we get that helpless attitude and that victim mentality and forget that we have the power and capability within us, we look outside ourselves and there they are. They're just right there, ready to tell us how to respond, how to react, how to live our lives, what to be afraid of, and how to cave into it, and what we need to rely on them to do for us. So they were very deliberately tapping into that fear, and it's frustrating to see how many MK Ultra survivors came out talking before they healed and were just spewing that program. It's kind of like getting on social media and people voice their fears as though it's news. It's this, you spew out the wrong stuff and it catches on and generates more fear and more misinformation. And then, because sometimes it's easier to buy into that whole aspect of things than to realize that we share this planet with some very evil people who are not like us and do not like us. And that's a fact that we have to face and realize, again, they only have as much power as we let them steal. Truth frees us from their grasp. Truth frees us from fear. And knowledge is our defense against their mind control.
So talking about this reptilian MK Ultra programming, was this something like you actually saw a projected image of a reptilian, or was this more of a manipulation of your reptilian brain to put you in a constant state of fear?
Some of all of that you mentioned there, and there were different situations and different ways of manipulating that theme, and the images could be outside, internal, it could be any direction that they wanted to create, and they used everything. And there was this huge convergence on taking that reptilian alien theme and combining it with a religious satanic theme, and manipulating convergence of the religious belief system with the alien belief that was, again, we go right back to the reptile, the snake, and it's the ultimate evil of both. So, or the lizard or whatever, so they crossed it over a lot. They just do a lot of manipulation like that in the programming. And I think because it is the most primitive innate fear in people, then it tends to have more traction. But if people just realize that anything that's fear-based needs to be researched further and looked at, again, because truth frees us from fear. We need to find the truth and know what that is, because we've got all the power.
Yeah, I agree. And it seems like that not only from the myths and the disinformation from the government about extraterrestrials in the late 70s and into the early 80s, a lot of it came from UFO cults as well. A lot of the themes that are constantly being regurgitated around the community, the New Age community, ufology, and conspiracy community, and the truther community, is a lot of regurgitation from ideologies from UFO cults as well, as early as the 30s, with the UFO cult called the I Am cult of Guy and Edna Ballard. And then it evolves into the Seekers UFO cult in 1953, and then the Ashtar Command cult. And there's this whole dichotomy of good versus evil, right? And it seems like that the extraterrestrial phenomenon is basically the new religion, right? The New Age movement is the new Jesus, is the new God, and they've just been replaced by extraterrestrials for a new generation of people to believe in. That's where you get the reptilians are the evil ones, just like in religion with the snake, it's the evil ones. The Palladians, the white-skinned Palladians with the shiny aura, is angels. You know, it's the same type of religious programming. The names and ideas have just been switched around and changed.
Yeah, and it's easy to do something like that when it's where people are ignorant and looking outside themselves for someone to formulate their perceptions and give them those answers. When in fact, when we go within, we find so much truth, so much possibility, that it makes all of that trivial in comparison to the reality of the magnitude of what we have yet to discover of our own lives, our own capabilities, our own bodies, our own minds, and this amazing world that we live in. You know, we just need to. I'm looking forward to people getting past this mind control phase, evolving with the knowledge, and being able to start exploring the areas that have yet to be discovered and looked into. They don't even know what our bodies are capable of doing in healing itself. You know, that's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you peel back all of those layers of the mythology of ufology and extraterrestrial intervention in the extraterrestrial hypothesis. You shut it down to its core. It's just religion. It's a new religion. And I think and it's really for people that were disillusioned by mainstream religion, right? It gives them another outlet to put their belief and structure their life around, right? Oh, I got to be a really good person because the Palladians that are surrounding the Earth in their UFO galactic ships aren't going to come and save me and rapture us up into their UFOs if I'm not a good person. You know, it's the same thing, just in a different way. New terminology, different ideas, but when you strip them down, it's almost verbatim the exact same thing that's been in the zeitgeist of humanity for thousands of years.
Yes, and then you factor in too the MK Ultra Project Monarch component, which is the multi-generational aspect, and why ultimately I was targeted for MK Ultra mind control, because when you get a multi-generational aspect, it had been found in the original mind control research information that after 3 generations, any belief system, abuse based or knowledge based, becomes autogenic in the brain. It's actually genetically passed down. So when you get a fear like that, what I was referring to on the fear of reptiles, it's genetically encoded, you know, and passed down from so many generations that we have like this groove in our brain that we want, you know, to maintain that same belief system, when in fact soul is stronger than any genetics anyway, and we can see past that and overcome that when we go within and find our own truth and find our own source of that absolute infinite strength and knowledge. And wow, all of a sudden we are able to overcome even the genetic encoding, where we don't have to replace it with the next semantic version of the same thing.
And really, when you look at it, Cathy, it's everything that's been attributed to extraterrestrial involvement in the extraterrestrial hypothesis. You can see that we've been doing that to ourselves, right? All the things that have been attributed to gray extraterrestrials, I'm not going to name them because it's a touchy subject right now, but just think of the things that's been attributed to gray extraterrestrial abductions, and then look around our reality and what's going on right now in the world, and you'll see that it's a scapegoat, that they're trying to shuffle off the blame onto something that you can't see, something that has no evidence, something that has no proof, something that you can't prove that exists, on to create a boogeyman, all the while so that they can keep doing the same things that they've been doing for decades.
And hide their technological advancements, you know, and act like it's some, oh no, we don't know how to do that, that's an alien, you know. The technological advancements have been hidden under that for a long time too, and it's limited people's perceptions of reality and what in the world is actually truly going on. And what's going on is that there's a handful of perpetrators wanting to keep us subdued and compliant, and turning over all of our power and self-control over to them. I don't know why they need that power. I don't know why they need that control. I don't know why they need as much money as they do. How much money and control and power does anybody need? I don't know. But they're not like us, and they do not like us, and they're just manipulating the minds of the population because we're so vulnerable when they impose fear tactics. So, you know, again, when we know our own truth, we can find the truth around us. And that discernment of truth is what's going to free us from fear, so that we can move forward and live life the way it was intended to be lived.
It seems like extraterrestrials are really concerned with money, aren't they, Cathy? They're really concerned with our monetary system, and they obviously need lots of money to keep their spaceships all in order, right? I mean, that's what a lot of the UFO cults were all concerned about, was monetary value, and apparently, you know, Jesus and Saint Germain and the Palladians and the Guardian races that are just floating around in the outside of the Earth's atmosphere are really concerned with the monetary system and human money. Yeah. That should be a red flag for people right there, right?
It should. It takes a lot of money, though, to be able to manipulate people's minds and keep their focus diverted from the reality. Keep them diverted from who the perpetrators were on Epstein Island. You know, who is behind, who is generating all this money out of child sex trafficking. It keeps us diverted from the reality of their absolute pure evil. I don't know what other word to apply to it. Their manipulation of humanity on the level that they are.
Yeah, it's really sad having to shuffle through all of the mis and disinformation, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to save people some time with this extraterrestrial and alien program that continues to be perpetrated among the community and then regurgitated again and again for a different audience, for a different people. And that's getting you off of the scent and off of the trail of really what might possibly be actually really happening. And it's like you said in that video, that clip of the video that I presented for us to watch. If extraterrestrials exist, if aliens exist, then, you know, why would the government have to lie about it over and over and over again? Why would they have to say, why would the Mexican government knowingly wheel out fake extraterrestrials for everyone to see in Congress a few weeks back? Fake extraterrestrial bodies that were proven fake back in 2018 that were made up of animal bones and ancient Peruvian remains. Why would they have to do that if they were real? It doesn't make any sense. If they had real extraterrestrial bodies, why would they not just roll out the real ones? Why would they have to fake it? Makes me believe that extraterrestrials don't exist and we don't have any bodies.
It's because the real extraterrestrials aren't coming here. They're looking down on us like we're a bunch of morons, you know, and allowing for such horrible things to go on in our society, like child sex trafficking and the sexualization of our children and the manipulation of the minds of the population to keep them from living the love that they are and life the way that it's intended to live. You know, they're probably just looking down. Those things, no way, they're coming down here. You know, I mean, it would be absurd. There's just a lot of amusing thoughts to me in that regard, because it's so lame, the lies that are being told to people. And we've been told for generations now that they were going to pull this alien card if they felt like they lost control over the minds of the people, which they're losing it at a very rapid rate these days, that they would play the alien card to make us feel helpless and say, oh, please, you know, take care of this for us and look outside ourselves again. We need to just focus within, know our own truth, and discern the truth around us so that these perpetrators lose their power and stop manipulating our minds with these fear-based lies that are diverting us from the real truths that we should be exploring.
Yeah, and then it's not only those kinds of people, it's the other kinds of people that also twist your words and make and they tune out the rest of the conversation. Once they hear that you believe that extraterrestrials aren't here, or that they don't exist, or that they're a MK Ultra program, they completely tone out the rest of the conversation. And then, like in that video, that gentleman was attributing to what you were talking about, the extraterrestrial programming and the reptilian programming and the alien abduction programming, to that they're planning on using Project Bluebeam to fake an alien invasion. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe that was what you were saying in that clip at all. You were referring to an extraterrestrial programming, not a fake alien invasion.
Right. And as long as people are suggestible and being manipulated, they believe pretty much anything. And they need to research it further. You know, it's a shame that it's gotten this far, that people are even considering that. I mean, if they're going to consider something fear-based and trauma-based, why not consider that that they are good or something like that, and that the good would beat out the evil ones before they got here. I mean, there's just so many other things to consider. They were talking at Bohemian Grove about aliens are us in the future, and that it is all just a time travel thing. And if that were the case, they would have been able to tap into that time travel and alter history and alter humanity any way that they chose, rather than having to use these MK Ultra mind control tactics. You know, there's so many things that don't add up, so many things that don't make sense, and so many more that need to be explored, so many other dimensions, so many other aspects of thinking to be able to be looking into, rather than caving into this fear mongering and relying on government to tell us, you know, what they want us to think is real.
How long ago was that you don't have to give a specific date, but just an approximate amount of time? How long ago was that they were talking about that the aliens are us from the future? How long ago?
Mid 80s.
Okay.
That was in the mid 80s, back when Bohemian Grove was the big Epstein Island of its time. And they would meet there and discuss their plans, how they would manipulate the population, how they would manipulate them through their knowledge base in education and through controlled media, and what themes that would be used that would manipulate minds the easiest. And that's the alien theme was like number one, and the demonic theme was just right up there with it, because ultimately, like I was saying earlier, they merge, and they can merge them so easy.
Yeah, it almost seems like the possession theme, the demonic theme, and the extraterrestrial theme goes almost hand in hand, right? Like channelers and psychic mediums that claim that they're in contact with a extraterrestrial entity and that they're channeling through them. It seems sort of like possession, right? They would almost be classified almost in the exact same way.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is so perfectly stated. And then when someone goes under program, it could be exhibited. It could exhibit as a possession or an alien channeling or whatever, when in fact it's just compartmentalized program. And so that misnomer was used a lot in MK Ultra and in mental health, to keep them from being able to help people who have experienced the kind of MK Ultra mind control that I did. Well, fortunately for us all, it's within us all to heal ourselves. We don't need any outside input. We get enough of that all the time. We need to be free of that and go within, and we can heal from within ourselves and reclaim our free thought, reclaim our strength of spirit, and the ability to think beyond the manipulations. We evolve with that knowledge. Once we go within and realize how easily we can be manipulated, we evolve with that knowledge so that we're not manipulated anymore. And I'm certainly not in any fear of some kind of alien invasion. I'm not in any fear at all. I know the truth, and the truth is these perpetrators have lost their control over the minds of the people, and they're going in with their last ditch effort, their ace up the sleeve, so they think, you know, that they've been holding for a long time and planning to pull out and use. I expect that they'll use it, and it's not going to work because people are onto it, and they're onto the fear mongering aspect of the control over the population, where anytime fear is brought in, that's when we need to safeguard our free thought.
So do you think that they will attempt to do the fake alien invasion? Because from what I've seen, studying UFO cults and being in the community for a really long time, it seems like the things that are commonly accepted by the community as a whole never seem to happen, right? Whenever people give
Exactly.
right, it's always something
Yep.
different, you know?
Yeah, it'll be off center. It'll be so yeah. And I'm not really sure how well the alien card would be played out right now, since so many people tend to think of these this cabal that's in control of the nations and using mind control for their slave society agenda. They tend to look at them as the aliens. So it's not. I think it's not going to fly quite the way that they want it to anyway. Just based on people struggling to figure out how we can share this planet with such power mongers, such evil, vile, controlling people. But we do, and it's so easy once we face the fact, okay, that's what they are. Well, then don't comply anymore. Don't listen to their repetitive media voice. That's another clue. If it's a lie, they're going to use repetition to drive it in. And that repetition comes through the controlled media. So we need to just shut all that off and walk away from it, and realize that their intent is just to regain some control over the minds of the population.
I agree. But then whenever you turn off the mainstream media and then you come to the alternative media, you almost get the exact same thing, just in a different way though, Cathy.
Yeah, it's a little more diverse though, where it's not quite the same repetitive narrative over and over again, like we can experience through the controlled media. It's all got a level of control right now. Even in conversations like this, there are certain things that it's wise not to say, and avoid the censorship so we can get the message out to more people without having it shut down. So there is a measure of control everywhere. And I just encourage people all the time to go within themselves and gather that strength of spirit to know their own truth, so they can discern truth outside themselves, so that when they do watch alternative media, they can discern the information instead of judging the people, and that judging, that snap judgment that's going on is hindering people from being able to research further and really find where the truth is, because the truth is actually so simple. It's the lies that are complicated.
It is, and there's always, like I was mentioning earlier, there's always something happening, and there's always some kind of, the world's going to end next week,
Yep.
next month. If it's not next month, it's next year. If it's not next year, it's 10 years from now. How many earth-shattering global catastrophes have been predicted in the past 100 years? A lot, and they never happen. So when you look back through history and you see that these people are making these kinds of predictions and they never happen, you have to really take a close look at a lot of different things, right? And not get wrapped up into prophecy and doomsday catastrophes, and that all this stuff is going to happen when you look back through history and none of it ever happens.
Yeah, it always works that way. And these predictions, I've been present while they're sitting around talking about which prediction they're going to come up with next to terrify the people into a compliant mode. It's been going on for a long time. Anytime these perpetrators, this handful of puppet masters, meet in private and meet in secrecy, secret. Why do they have to meet in secret? Why can't we all just hear what's going on? It's because they're plotting and planning the next prediction to keep us all quaking in fear so that they can keep us under control. Truth frees us from fear. Truth frees us from that control. Knowledge is our defense against their mind control. And it's time that people realize that it is the truth that makes us free. And once we sever that tie with those strings, so these puppet masters can't manipulate us anymore, the freedom that we have and all that we have to explore and learn and realize are within our own potential is more amazing than anything than that we've been told about extraterrestrials and anything outside ourselves. What we have within is more amazing and more vast than that anyway.
Scotty Boy brings up a really good point, because we're on one of the dates right now. We're live right now, Cathy, on one of the dates that was predicted that people were talking about online, that was something big event was going to happen. We're literally on that date right now and nothing has happened.
I'm not surprised. That happens so much. I don't pay any attention at all to these. So what, even if they say something good is going to happen, okay, it's all going to happen on this date, this date, this date. We hear, I can't even imagine how many times that date has changed. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't work that way. It never does. Every day is our opportunity to know the truth.
And then also there's another date that's predicted for October 4th. And guess what's going to happen on October 4th? Absolutely nothing. Nothing is going to happen, because it never does. It's unbelievable. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Cathy. I have a few super chats I got to run through here really quick. No Bull Truth with $100 super chat. Thanks so much for your kindness and generosity and support of the show. No Bull Truth. Hey RBG, sorry I'm late. Was talking about UFOs at a conference. Here's your cow brother. Hope all is well, Cathy. Yes, thanks so much, No Bull Truth, for your kindness and generosity and support of the show. Hound Dog with a $50 super sticker. Thanks so much, Hound Dog, for your kindness and generosity and support of the show, brother. Appreciate you a lot. Laura Spires with a $4.99 super chat. Thanks so much for your kindness and generosity and support of the show. Why have I heard more people I know lately that split ESP after 2020, all saying stuff about aliens and paranoid? Why the same theme? I think she's mentioning some of the remote viewers and the psychics here. Cathy talking about aliens and the paranoia surrounding aliens, which is really interesting because there was this UFO cult called the Cult of Antrovis. And the gentleman was an actual hypnotist, right? The leader of this UFO cult of Antrovis. He was a hypnotist, and he would program thoughts and ideas into his followers' heads of gray extraterrestrials. And it made some of them have serious mental problems and serious mental issues by being programmed with these extraterrestrial gray thoughts that they were going to be abducted and that their organs were going to be harvested to supply fuel for their UFO ships. Right?
Wow.
I mean, that's how easy hypnosis and subliminal suggestion can be. It can drive you into paranoia and cause a whole host of mental problems.
Yeah, I'm always advising MK Ultra survivors to heal from within themselves and not look outside themselves for answers. Absolutely do not go to a hypnotist, because the survivors are already suggestible, and hypnotists can easily, either through their own belief system, switch everything over to the alien aspect of things, or divert that over to an alien fear to keep them from knowing their own truth, from remembering government secrets or whatever they've been programmed to forget. So hypnotists are an extreme threat, as far as I'm concerned, to any MK Ultra mind control survivor, or really any trauma survivor at all, or anyone who has repressed memory and is looking for their truth and then are told by the hypnotist that it's an alien abduction. All of this feeds into the paranoia and the fear and the misinformation and takes us further away from the truth that we need to know. And we need to know that it's within us all to be able to gather our strength of spirit and our discernment and live our own lives free of outside influence and without having to look to big government, big pharma, big tech, big cult religion to tell us how to live our amazing lives.
Yeah, I'm just running through the chat here really quick. If anyone has any questions before I let Cathy go, put them in the chat really quick. Yeah, only got a few minutes left here. But yeah, thanks so much, Cathy, for coming on. I really appreciate your time and your and talking with me this evening. Really appreciate it, and you're always welcome back on the show at any time. Can you let people know where they can purchase your book or watch your documentary?
Yes, and read my blogs. I'm constantly posting on my website at trance-formation.com. That's TRANCE-formation.com.
The links to Cathy's information is in the description of this video. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. Thanks to all the contributors to the show, and your support means everything to me and helps me keep providing you amazing shows and amazing content with great guests here like Cathy O'Brien. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up button to help the channel and algorithm, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon as well for notifications. And I will be back on Tuesday next week. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next time.